Zap, 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 lightning, zap, zap, lightning, lightning.
Hello everybody, it's me, the Lego Dude, and in today's video I will be doing my predictions for the entire 2022 World Cup. I was at first planning to do it in two sections, the group stages and the knockout rounds, but instead I'm just gonna combine it into just one big video now, so let's get started. In Group A, we have Ecuador, the Netherlands, Senegal, and the host of the tournament, Qatar. I predict that at the foot of the group that Qatar will finish last. Their squad strength isn't comparable to Ecuador, the Netherlands, or Senegal at all, and even though they're hosting it so they have home territory advantage, I don't think that they'll be able to compete. Next up, I predict that Ecuador will finish third in the group. Even though they have lots of great players like Pervis Estupinian, Moises Caicedo, and Ener Valencia, the majority of their squad is very young and inexperienced, and I don't think that they'll be able to compete in this group that well. I think that they'll put up a fight to go through, but they won't actually go through and will finish third. Next up, I predict that Senegal will finish in second place. With starman Sadio Mane injured for the first part of this tournament, it's going to be more of a struggle to score goals than it usually is for Senegal, who hardly ever score goals anyway, but I think that they'll still be able to get the job done and finish in second place. And to top the group, I think that the Netherlands will be able to get through this group fairly easily. They have lots of great players like Memphis Depay, Steven Bergwijn, Frenkie de Jong, Teun Koop Miners, Davy Klaassen, Steven Berghuis, and Tyrell Malacia, and they have by far the best squad out of all four of these teams. If they don't finish top, then that'll be extremely disappointing for them. Moving on to Group B, we have England, Iran, Wales, and the United States. At rock bottom and fourth place of this group, I put the United States. Their squad is actually really good with the likes of Gio Reyna, Tyler Adams, and Christian Pulisic, but their manager Greg Berhalter is a complete donut and doesn't really know what he's doing, and he's not a good manager at all. If they had an actually good manager, I could see them getting out of this group, but with him at the wheel, I don't think they have a chance of getting out of this group at all. Next up at third in the group, I have Wales. Wales actually have a decent squad, but one of their problems is their main reliance on starman Gareth Bale, who hasn't played much football this season. I think that Wales will put up a good fight with Iran, but ultimately they won't be able to make it through. And in second place, which you probably could have guessed from what I just said, I have Iran. Their star striker Mehdi Tawemi is on fire this season, and their coach Carlos Queiroz runs a team with a very good defense. Iran don't score much, but they also don't concede much, and I think that they'll be able to get through the group with only 1 or 2 goals scored. And then to top the group, I have England. Even with the managerial donut like Gareth Southgate, I don't think that it's possible for them to get anything other than first place in this group. They'll probably have to scrap out for the results with the very defensive football they play, but I think that they'll get the job done. It's also a disgrace that Fikayo Tomori and Ivan Toney were left out of England's World Cup squad, but I'll just move on from that to Group C right now, or else this video could go on for 20 plus minutes. In Group C, we have Mexico, Poland, Argentina, and Saudi Arabia. At bottom of the group in fourth place, I put Saudi Arabia. Their squad is nowhere near the standard of the other three teams, and I think that they'll finish rock bottom with 0 points and a negative goal difference of at least 6 or 7. Next up in third place, I have Poland. Their squad is decent, but in reality, it really isn't that good, and Robert Lewandowski, their star man, is probably going to be on a graveyard shift for most of the time. And Mexico also have a history of going to the round of 16 of the World Cup for the past 8 World Cups now, so I think that Poland don't really have a chance to go through. And then in second place, I have Mexico. It's just a standard Mexico performance, getting second place in the group, going to the round of 16, and then getting knocked out like for the past 8 World Cups. Not much to say here, so let's move on. And then in first place, I have Argentina. Argentina are on a 35-match unbeaten streak stretching back to 2019, and I think they'll continue that to 38 with 3 wins here in this group. Moving on to Group D, we have Denmark, Tunisia, Australia, and France. And right now, about this stretch for the next 3 groups, I'm going to get into some very controversial predictions, which you guys are probably going to argue about in the comment section down below. So for this group, I think that there's going to be a major upset, and that France will finish bottom of the group. Since they won the 2018 World Cup, I think that the champions curse will strike again for 2022 like it did for the past 3 World Cup winners, and France will finish bottom of the group. In third place for this group, I have Tunisia. Tunisia have a pretty decent squad with the likes of Wabi Kazri and Hannibal Mejri, but I think that they'll fall just short and they'll finish third. And then for second in this group, I think that the Socceroos will be able to pull an upset and be able to go through to the round of 16. With the likes of Matthew Ryan in net and Erwin Moya in goal, and also a bunch of good forwards like Craig Goodwin, I think that they'll have a really good tournament and they'll be able to just squeak past Tunisia to squeak into second place. place. And then to top the group, I have Denmark. Denmark have an absolutely amazing squad with the likes of Kasper Schmeichel in net, Simon Kjær, Daniel Wass, Joachim Andersen, and Andreas Christensen in defense, Christian Eriksen, Pierre-Emil Højbjerg, and Matthias Jensen in midfield, and Kasper Dolberg, Mikkel Damsgaard, Jonas Wind, and Jesper Lindstrom in attack. With the squad this good, I think that Denmark will ease past this group with 3 wins and 9 points. Next up in Group E, we have Costa Rica, Germany, Spain, and Japan. To finish bottom of the group, I have Japan. Even with really good players in attack like Takumi Minamino, Daichi Kamada, and Daisen Maeda, they still have a really weak defense, and I think that they'll finish bottom of the group because even though they'll be able to score, they won't be able to defend that well. To finish third in the group, I have a major upset, and that's that Spain will finish third in the group and be knocked out of the World Cup. The Spain squad for this World Cup is particularly weak in several areas, and in attack, they really have no one to score goals with Alvaro Morata not a good striker at all, and he's their first choice. I think that Spain will be really poor, hardly scoring any goals, and they won't be able to win where it matters to get through. And then in second place, the major upset, since Spain will finish third, I have Costa Rica in second, going through to the round of 16. Costa Rica have a really good defense with the likes of Keylor Navas in net, who is one of, if not the best goalkeeper from CONCACAF ever, and Kendall Waston, and also Brian Oviedo and Oscar Duarte. In midfield, they still have 2 legends of the team playing even at ages 34 and 37, who are Celso Borges and Brian Ruiz. And then spearheading the attack, they have Johan Venegas, Anthony Contreras, and Joel Campbell. I think that Costa Rica will be able to finish second in this group just by scoring 1 or 2 goals because their strong defense and Keylor Navas in net will be able to carry them through. In Group F, we have Belgium, Croatia, Morocco, and Canada. Unfortunately for Canada, I think that they'll finish bottom of the group. Even with the likes of Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, I don't think they have enough firepower to compete with the other teams in this group. Next up, I have another upset, and that's Croatia finishing in third place. Even though they have some new emerging talent like Joško Vardio, most of Croatia's golden generation is aging and fading. Players who are part of Croatia's golden generation like Kramaric, Perisic, and Modric are all in their 30s, aging, and are no longer at their best. I may be underestimating Croatia, but I really don't think that they have the squad to be able to go through and that they'll just finish in third place. In second place, going through to the round of 16, I have Morocco. They have a really strong defense with the likes of Naif Aguerd, Romain Saiss, Nosair Mazraoui, and Ashraf Hakimi, and then between the sticks in net, they have Yassine Bono. In midfield, they aren't as good, but then in attack, they have lots of great players like Hakim Ziyech, Amin Harit, Abde, and then also one of their best players, Youssef En-Nesyri. I think that this will be enough to carry them past Croatia in second place to get to the round of 16. And then to top the group, I have Belgium, who have an insanely stacked squad. In net, they have Thibaut Courtois. In defense, they have Vertonghen, Alderweireld, and Den Donker. In midfield, they have Onana, Kevin De Bruyne, and Yuri Tielemans. And then in attack, they have the likes of Romelu Lukaku, Jeremy Doku, and Luis Opineda. Belgium's team is clear of everyone else's in this group by miles, and they should have absolutely no trouble topping it at all. In Group G, we have Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. To finish bottom of the group, I put Cameroon. They have a decent squad with the likes of Andre Onana in net, Frank Zambo Anguissa in midfield, and Eric Choupo-Moting in attack, but their squad can't really compare to Switzerland, Serbia's, or Brazil's, and I think unfortunately for them, they'll finish bottom of the group. Finishing third in the group, I have Serbia. They have a really good squad with the likes of Kostic, Tadic, and Milinkovic-Savic in midfield, and then Mitrovic, Jovic, and Vlahovic in attack, and I think that they'll put up a good fight for the second place spot, but in the end, they'll just fall short and they won't be able to make it. To finish second in the group, I have Switzerland. They have a really good squad with the likes of Fabian Schär and Manuel Akanji in defense, Granit Xhaka, Denis Zakaria, and Djibril Sow in midfield, and then in attack, they have Buyo Mbolo and Noah Okafor. I think it's going to be quite a fight for Switzerland to get past Serbia, but in the end, they'll get the job done and finish in second place. And then in first place, I have none other than Brazil. They have probably the most stacked squad at this tournament, and I can't even name all of their best players because basically every single last player in their squad is world class. In every position except at fullback, Brazil have world class players, and they should have absolutely no problem going through this group at all. They'll probably score 6 or 7 goals at least, and they'll definitely finish top of the group with 3 wins. Moving on to Group H, we have Ghana, Portugal, Uruguay, and South Korea. To finish bottom of the group, I have South Korea. Even with the likes of a world-class player in their attack, Heung-min Son, and some more top-class players like Kim Min-jae and Hwang Hee-chan, most of South Korea's squad really isn't that good, and they probably won't be able to compete that well. To finish third in the group, I have Ghana. Ghana have a pretty decent squad, and they've been boosted by some English players who switched their allegiance to Ghana, including Tariq Lamptey, and they also have lots of players who are already good like Mohamed Kudus, Mohamed Salisu, and also Jordan Ayew. I don't think that they'll put up much of a fight to get second place, but I think that they'll definitely do better than South Korea and be able to finish third in the group. To finish second in the group, I have Uruguay. They have an amazing squad with the likes of players like Juan Araujo, Fede Valverde, and Darwin Nunez, but I think that they'll fall just short of first place after putting up a good fight with Portugal. To finish top of the group, I have Portugal. Portugal have an insanely stacked squad, which is almost as stacked as Brazil, and the only one detriment that they really have is that their manager isn't that good. Even though he's not that good of a manager, I still think that he'll get the job done and get Portugal first place with his insanely good team. Now that we finish with the group stages, we move on to the round of 16. In the round of 16, we have 8 ties. Netherlands versus Iran, Argentina versus Australia, Germany versus Morocco, Brazil versus Uruguay, England versus Senegal, Denmark versus Mexico, Belgium versus Costa Rica, and Portugal versus Switzerland. So let's get started at the top with the Netherlands versus Iran. This match really shouldn't be a contest, and I think that the Netherlands will be able to easily win 1 or 2-0. The Netherlands have an insanely stacked squad with good players in almost every position, while Iran don't have as many good players and their main platform is building off of defense. I don't think that that'll be able to help them here though, as the Netherlands attack will be just too much for them to handle. Next up, we have Argentina versus Australia, which will be even easier to predict. Argentina should be winning this at least 3-0 with how good their squad is and how lower quality compared to them Australia is. In basically every position, Argentina have a great player, while for Australia they can only rely on 2 or 3 players to be really good for them. The quality gap between Argentina and Australia is so large this shouldn't even be a contest. Next up, we have Germany versus Morocco, and I think that Germany should just about win this. Morocco have a pretty good squad and will definitely put up a fight versus Germany, but in the end, Germany are just better and should get through. Next up, we have Brazil versus Uruguay. Uruguay have a pretty good squad and will definitely put up a fight, but Brazil have insane quality and squad depth across almost every position, and they shouldn't have too much trouble getting through. In the next match, we have England versus Senegal, and I'm gonna predict what many people would call an upset here, and I'm gonna say that Senegal will beat England. England have a bunch of good players, but their manager Gareth Southgate, who I already called a donut earlier in the video, left a lot of their best players out of the World Cup squad, and he also isn't a good manager at all, and I think that Senegal will just be able to scrape by with the 1-0 win with Sadio Mane scoring the winner. In the 6th match of the round of 16, we have Denmark versus Mexico, and this is clear cut and dry. Mexico have lost in the round of 16 for the past 8 World Cups, and I think that it'll happen again at this World Cup with Denmark beating them. In the second to last match of the round of 16, we have Belgium versus Costa Rica. Even though Belgium have an amazing team, Costa Rica are defensively resilient and won't give in very easily. I still think that Belgium will win this, but it'll be kind of close at only 1-0, with Keylor Navas and net for Costa Rica keeping the score down to only the 1 goal from Belgium. And then in the final match of the round of 16, we have Portugal versus Switzerland. Switzerland are formidable opponents for Portugal, but in the end, I think Portugal will get the job done with a 2-1 win. Switzerland will put up a fight and make life difficult for Portugal, but in the end, they just can't really compare to Portugal in terms of quality. Now that we finished the round of 16, we have our quarterfinal ties. The Netherlands versus Argentina, Germany versus Brazil, Senegal versus Denmark, and Belgium versus Portugal. Starting with the Netherlands versus Argentina, both of these teams have an insane amount of quality, but I think that Argentina are just better. At this point, Argentina would be on a 41 match unbeaten streak, I think, and I think they'll continue it with a win over the Netherlands to move on to the semifinals of the World Cup. This match will probably be very exciting though, and I think that Argentina will win at 3-2 with good performances from Lionel Messi and Lautaro Martinez to get them the win. Next up, we have Germany versus Brazil, which is similar to the Netherlands versus Argentina match in the fact that both teams are extremely good, but there's one team that is pretty clearly better, and that team is Brazil. This match will definitely be exciting, with Germany having a pretty good amount of attacking quality and Brazil being absolutely stacked in the attack, and I think that Brazil will end up winning this 3-2. The third match in the quarterfinals is Senegal versus Denmark. This will be a very hard-fought match with both teams fighting tooth and nail, but in the end, I think that Denmark will emerge with a 1-0 victory. Senegal have an extremely good defense and lots of good midfield and attacking quality, but they're not really that good at scoring goals, and I think that Denmark will just be able to get past them after a very hard-fought match 1-0. No African team has ever made the semifinals of the World Cup, and unfortunately, that streak will hold again for the 2022 World Cup. Senegal will head home with their heads held high though, making it to the quarterfinals against a tough one of fixtures. And then the last match of the quarterfinals will be Belgium versus Portugal. This will be a very hard-fought match again, and I think think it'll go into penalties 2-2, and then in the penalty shootout, Portugal will prevail 5-4 on penalties. Both of these teams have an insane amount of quality, but I think Portugal will just about be able to eke out a win on the penalty shootout. Now that the quarterfinals have finished, we have the last two matches in the semifinals to decide which two teams will go to the World Cup final. Starting off with Argentina versus Brazil, we have a rematch of the 2021 Copa America final where Argentina were able to beat Brazil, but this time in the World Cup semifinal, I think that things will be different and Brazil will be able to win it, ending Argentina's 42-match unbeaten streak. Both of these teams are extremely stacked, but I think that Brazil are just that little bit better and they'll be able to get through to the World Cup final, ending Lionel Messi's World Cup dream in his last ever World Cup. And then in the second semifinal match, we have Denmark versus Portugal. Denmark have been dark horses being able to get all the way through to the semifinals, but in the end, I don't think that they'll make it just that extra step farther to get to the finals. I think that Portugal will ultimately prevail in a 2-1 win in this match. Even with a donut coach like Fernando Santos, I think that Portugal are just too good not to get through this, and they'll stumble their way to a World Cup final, even if it didn't look that convincing. We now have the penultimate match of the World Cup, which will be the fight for getting third place. In Argentina versus Denmark for third place, I think that Argentina will just about get through Denmark in a 2-0 win. However, this will still be little consolation for not being able to make the World Cup finals. And now the last match of the World Cup is the World Cup final. The biggest match every 4 years, and in this case it's going to be Brazil versus Portugal. Can Portugal get through Brazil to win their first World Cup ever? Can Ronaldo finally win a World Cup before he retires? I think that Portugal will not. Portugal mostly just stumbled their way to the World Cup final, and at the final hurdle versus such an amazing and well-organized team like Brazil, I think that they won't be able to make it past them. Brazil will most likely dominate this match, and I think that they'll win 3-1. Brazil will win the World Cup for the first time since 2002, and they'll get to add a 6th star to their badge for their 6th World Cup ever. Alright everybody, those are all of my predictions for the 2022 World Cup. Tell me your World Cup predictions in the comment section down below. Do you agree with a lot of my predictions, or do you have a bunch of different predictions which you think will happen instead? And one last thing before you leave, please remember to hit the subscribe button, ring the notifications bell, and leave a like on the video. Bye! Created by The Lego Dude. Produced by The Lego Dude. Directed by The Lego Dude. Paid for by The Lego Dude. Edited by The Lego Dude. Thank you for watching, please subscribe and leave a like.